Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, at the very outset, let me thank you for the time allotted to me. But at the very outset, I will again, on behalf of the distinguished members and honorable members of this August House, based on what we discussed in the Business Advisory Committee, at least be considerate in extending the time so that we have substantial, because when we are constrained with time, submission becomes very difficult. You know, it is normally, psychologically quite pressing. Yeah. I will be brief so that I can give more time for, rather you can give more time for the honorable new members, because this is the time when, in the course of budget discussion, this is the time when we are able to take cognizance of various deficiencies or different developmental gaps, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. So that is precisely what we would like to do. Now, when we talk about developmental gaps, vis-a-vis the lack of transparency, let me refer to even the submission made by honorable member from the Treasury bench. Just in the morning, as honorable member from Rongjeng was continuing his submission, he did refer the number of schemes which are being implemented, the MLA doesn't know. What does it indicate? This proves beyond reasonable doubt our contention that the transparency, the issue of transparency is not the priority of this government. If the honorable members from the ruling bench doesn't know, then you can understand the pathetic situation as to how schemes are implemented. This allows enough space for misappropriation and corruption. That's the reason why we talked about the social auditing as per the mandate of the act which was passed by this particular August House. I have spoken about this. I would not like to repeat on this, but I think it is high time that we utilize this mandate of act which was collectively, unanimously passed by this August House for the larger good of the public. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, every fund from the public exchequer must be spent for public good. When we say public good, it involves everybody, all sections of people, inclusive, and something which is completely away from the usual tendency of the government from deprivation. Now, if MLAs are being deprived of the transparency, then how will we expect effective implementation of the program on the ground zero? That's the reason why last time when I have visited different parts of the state, in the western part, only 2 districts, we were astonished to see that the schemes which are being implemented are not in sync with the actual DPR mandate of the DPR. That means the compromise in the matter of quality of work, thereby resulting in drainage of precious public exchequer by default or by choice or by intent. This will be because in absence of transparency, there will be reasons for us to believe that something wrong is going on, even if it doesn't. Therefore, let us have an approach whereby the community is involved, the elected members are involved. We have a robust system already formatted and put in place. Let us utilize it. But this government has been somehow deviating in such a way that this whole format which has been provided for us, a robust structure which is available for us, this is not being weighted. Now, if we go by the projections seems very fine, but let us not deny the fact, where are we as a state? Where are we as a state? We have to determine our progress in terms of the benefit which accrue to the people in general, in an inclusive and effective manner. This is reflected by how people are benefited, how our people's participation in the whole gross state domestic product can be comprehended and understood. Now, look at this alarming figure of our national versus the state, GSDP versus the GDP, we are at the 5th lowest among the states, 5th lowest among the states and union territories out of 31. And when we talk about the overall growth also, we have to look at from the national perspective. We have to compare with others so that we know how to set the benchmark. What is the benchmark? Benchmark is that we don't follow others, we lead by example. That is the benchmark we have been talking about. Let us set a benchmark so that others will follow our benchmark. Today we are becoming a follower. Now when we look at the whole overall concept of the program which is the main source of fund under this budget, I went through all these projections. How much money is available here now? Total money projected for spending is, total expenditure is 30,003 crore, of which the revenue expenditure is estimated at 20,556 crore, and capital expenditure 9,447 crore. Sounds very good, looks very colorful. But what is the reality? Go through this whole thing. Then you see what exactly is happening. Out of this proposed capital expenditure, how much is the state sector? And how much is the state plan rather? And how much is the central sponsor scheme, central sector scheme? Just to give an insight, just in the Department of Education, the central sector component is 868 crore, one sector. Similarly, if we go by all the programs, the externally aided programs, externally aided projects from ADB, from World Bank, from JICA, etc., these are the fund. And these also, when we look at the program fund under Meghalaya, under CLAM, under Meghalaya Integrated Transport Program, all these things an offshoot of the earlier regime, offshoot of the product of what we have done over the years. But to implement this, look at how much of money is being spent for the consultants, for the implementation. What is the percentage that out of the total amount of fund available for a project that can be spent for consultancy? There is a ceiling, there is a limit. Therefore, the margin of profit, the amount of money out of the total amount that is projected and considered for sanction, out of that, certain limit is there. This is the government which has forgotten about this limit, this financial ethics and financial discipline. That's why we see all this in the demand, different demands, particularly under your economic services, huge amount of money, even in the supplementary demand. For whatever reason, time was a matter of rather time constraint, did not enable us to move that cut motion. That would have enabled us to draw the attention of the government to really pinpoint on the areas where spending can be avoided, which do not have any remunerative return for the benefit of the larger good of the people. This is where the wrong lies. Now, if wrong is continued or is allowed to be continued, then the wrong will become right. Then the wrong remain as a means of, something, as a way of life. This is what is happening in as far as this government is concerned. Now look at the colorful picture created. Out of this 9,447 capital expenditure, what is the loan repayment? Then from the revenue expenditure, what is the interest burden, interest repayment? Then minus the central sector schemes. What is the state plan left? Now, when we talk about the borrowing, we are here with the fiscal deficit. 1,970 of fiscal deficit. Our repeated constant criticism to draw the attention of the government pertaining to this unregulated fiscal deficit has probably somehow created this situation where at least the fiscal deficit is indicative of below the permissible limit of 3.5. But look at the preceding years. Now look at the debt. Now how the debt is structured. We look at the debt which has been already taken. 18,000 crore. Now the debt servicing will be continued for next 5 years, along with the repayment of the principal and along with the payment of the interest. Then you have to continue to borrow. But here, if we look at how the borrowing money is being spent, is that the borrowing money is being spent to repay the loan and the interest. This is the only means which has led many of the corporate houses to all kind of financial distress. Non-performing assets in the corporate world, resulting in closure of many of the business houses. We see this what is the name of that company with Vijay Mallya? What happened? What happened with the Jet Airways? All these things. Because of the unregulated spending to all the service providers which were channelized to siphon of money. That is what the investigation is bringing out. It's an eye-opening. It's an eye-opener for all of us. Therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it is during this budget session that honorable members must be able to flag each and every areas of concern so that every money that is being voted by this August House is scrutinized and is accountable. Now, I was telling about that implementation of the scheme when we saw the complete compromise on the quality, JJM. I would like to know from the government whether in the JJM, the laying of pipe is not included in the DPR. I asked the officer, they said yes. But you go all around in Garo Hills, all these pipes are, visible outside. Pipes are not laid under the soil. Where have the money gone? Then the villagers confronted the Mistries. Mistries said, no, this is the only work we were told to do. Obviously, Mistries are paid for that only. The contractor is not paying for digging the soil and laying the pipe as per the specification of the DPR. I remember once upon a time, we had to tell the villagers to come together with the department and lay all the pipes which were not laid because they were tapped. GI pipes. It will attract taps.
Honorable members, would you please mind to...
How much time are you giving me, Mr. Deputy Speaker?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Another 15 minutes?
No. Altogether 15 minutes. Now you have 3 minutes more.
That is true. But who will draw the attention of the government also? We all will speak 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Something has to be done to see that at least we are able to just draw the attention of the government. It will help the government. Sometimes ministers are benefited by this share of information. Now, okay, the guiding principle, I think there's no point of talking about too many things. Now, MITP. MITP has a component to ensure that in addition to upgrading the existing roads, state highways, inter-district highways, major district highways, it also has a component to create access to schools, access to market, and also create infrastructure for the farmers and various other assistance to ensure appropriate transport, to take care, identify those areas of gap where transportation is missing, where public transport is missing. So these components need to be clearly indicative in its projection. Last time I have asked through supplementary when Honorable Deputy CM was replying to my question, but this component is being handled. Even the minister in charge PWD doesn't know about that. The whole portion of that particular thing had to be replied by the Chief Minister. That means the convergence, all the concept of our programs which enable us to get so much of money under externally aided project revolves around convergence and aggregation so that it will have a multiplier and amplifier effect on the ultimate outcome of the scheme. Now here, even the departments don't have convergence. Now, we used to have a specific amount of money for convergence alone. The whole concept of basin development was designed to build partnership with the people, with the community through convergence and provide sustainable livelihood through partnership. Now, here, I don't see any effort to build partnership. Partnership, people should know, people should be at par in terms of sharing of knowledge and everything pertaining to the department. That is what we call partnership, at par, not as a beneficiary, but as partners. Now, if you look at every citizen of the state as beneficiary who are themselves the owner of the money, there is a wrong approach in a democracy. That's the reason why we deviated from the earlier wrong way to the correct way. People must be considered as the owner, therefore the partnership. They are the owner, we are only managing the resources of the public. Therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the whole concept of building partnership is to actually give weightage to the core values of democracy. That is precisely why we came up with all these interventions, and that is precisely the reason why we got so much of money from EAPs. But if you look at the implementation of schemes by the state government, even in respect of the centrally sponsored schemes, central sector schemes, you look at the record, utilization certificates not submitted for huge number of schemes. And these are the reasons for the delay of implementation of projects, huge number of projects. Whether it is the engineering college, whether it is College of Architecture and Urban Planning, whether it is all other programs sponsored by Government of India, look at the CAG report, how many UCs have not been submitted for years together. Now, my attention is drawn to draw the attention of the government pertaining to the BSCs. Look at the figures. Meghalaya Power Generation Company, Meghalaya Power Distribution, all these public sectors in power sector alone, including Meghalaya, your transmission company. It is quite surprising to see even that Meghalaya Transmission Company, Power Transmission Company has also become a loser. Earlier, though out of these three power sector public undertaking enterprises, two used to be a losing concern because of heavy debt burden from the preceding. We know that we have done unbundling and all, lots of other overheads were there. But the Power Transmission Company, we are building their transmission line. They are charging wheeling charge. How are they losing? How can they lose? This is a question. I urge upon the government to have a review on this. The whole report of the CAG is too glaring to miss the attention of the government. Look at the interest burden. All last 5 years, the interest burden of the power sector has gone on increasing. In 17-18, it was just around, repayment of interest burden was around 150 crore. Now it is more than double. So just interest. I'm not talking about the principal repayment. So therefore, can we allow this to go on happening and happening? Power sector, very critical sector. So I urge upon the government to have a complete review of this power sector. The Honorable Minister in charge was also Power Minister. At that point of time, we have recorded profit in one of the sectors. So he can review it and then see why we were in profit, on profit that time and why not now. Rather, now many of these transmission lines are operational. These transmission lines should be allowing them to have more wheeling charge, therefore more profit. Therefore, all these issues I flag before the government, though in a nutshell, but government is able to understand and grasp the issues that I'm flagging. Now, therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, my scope to speak on sector-wise is not there since I don't have the time, but I will urge the government to look at the issue of effective implementation of every program. There was a question which was replied by Honorable Minister of Agriculture. Now this plant protection. Earlier also we have asked this issue. Plant protection. Plant protection also must include prevention of disease, like in the health. We know about this word, even the villagers know this word now. English, quarantine. Is the word quarantine available in the agriculture and horticulture sector? Yes. Quarantining of what? Any planting material that is coming from outside. That's why agriculture is a state subject. All these infected plants are being brought from outside without any inspection, scrutiny. That's why earlier agriculture officers were nomenclatured as agriculture inspectors. What is the meaning of inspector? Who inspects and enforces the provision of rule which is as per the mandate of the law. Now this has to be looked at. This is one of the major concern. All these planting materials and other pests are coming along with the planting materials. This must be examined scientifically and professionally, and this will help us to have a prevention. And another aspect is, now talking about areca nut, the whole, we had this similar problem in bordering Bangladesh earlier. We identified the virus, there was an effective treatment, but now it is in a larger scale. We feel pity, we feel bad, and this is something which is as though we are leaving it to the farmers. I was looking at the government's response, but government's response towards this is as though we are helpless. It is not. We are not helpless. How do we spray? I asked the farmers, how can we spray? You had today we are backed by technology. Drone. Please use drone. There is a program supported by Government of India. Even the farmers are being trained, even the women are being trained how to run a drone. Drones are being used to take care of the plant protection. This money is available. Give it to self-help groups. We have started these integrated village cooperative societies through which the funds are coming. Huge amount of money. All these village cooperative development societies, I had the privilege of inaugurating some of them. They are making the turnaround in the economy. But have some of them identified, corroborate with them, utilize them as partners, and you will see that they do our job. So therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in as far as this issue and plant protection for other crops are also concerned, allow this whole fund to be available to the farmers, just facilitate. Government has to be only facilitator. I just talked to somebody who was providing this service, but then it becomes a little costly for farmers. So with these few words, may I somehow see positive response in regard to various other constraints that the farmers are facing. This is only one of them that I have replied. Even the seeds. Seeds are an issue. I remember Agriculture Department was providing some scheme, partnering with the farmers to promote our local seeds. This must continue because seed will be weaponized to have an economic invasion. This is already happening. Seeds are becoming so costly, and once you use seeds which are coming from outside, you use this seed, they will not grow. That is how the knowledge and technology and science have been are being misused by people who are at the advantageous level due to knowledge. Therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, agriculture and horticulture is one area where a new approach to look at all the challenges is required at the moment in urgency. And the Honorable Minister should call meeting of people concerned and also experts and look at this whole, there are plenty of solutions, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. We have to identify which is actually something which is customized to our challenges. So with these few words, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as I have contended that other members should get more time, let me wind up this brief submission. I will take advantage of the cut motions and flag all those issues. in as far as possible, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. But I will again make my submission before I resume my seat to ensure that reasonable amount of time is given and House is extended, because this is something Honorable Deputy CM was there, who is also representing the government as in charge of parliamentary affairs, while we discuss on these business advisory committees, finalizing of the business for the House. Yeah. So extension of time was one of the area which we all agreed upon, and therefore I will assume and presume and hope
I have
that this is
extended your
considered.
time also up to
Thank you.
20%.
Not for me, sir. I am talking about the House, extension of the House.
No, for you especially,